not winning that bowl game when you were the best team on the field, it's kind of left a little, bad feeling in their gut.
That was Coach Cut talking to our own Daniel Carp alongside Zac Elder. I'm Danny Nolan here on 4 Downs. We're here to break down the NC Central game this Saturday. It's the first game of the year for the Blue Devils. And Zac, we start off by talking about that Belk Bowl from last season. It was a tough loss, down to the wire, bitter taste in the mouth. You heard Coach Cut say it. What are the changes they've made since last season going into this year?
Like you said, Danny, it was a tough loss. I think a lot of people in the program think that they had that game and just let it slip away. But there are some benefits to the bowl appearance despite the loss. First and foremost, they got 15 extra practices in December, postseason practices to improve on the team. These are practices that top-tier programs count on every season to get better. But even more importantly than that is this new winning mentality we've seen. We've heard it from players and coaches coming out of camp in the spring and the summer. And I think these guys expect to get to a bowl game now that they've been there and had the experience.
Yeah, Zach, the biggest thing that's jumped out at me about this new winning mentality is you look at a guy like Anthony Boone. He's taking over as the full-time starter for this team for the first time this year. He started one game in his college career. At the same time, he's stepped up. He's embraced his role as a leader on this team. And not only does he expect that this team's going to be able to go back to a bowl game, he thinks they're going to win one.
Well, we move on to the next step. Perhaps NC Central this weekend is the first game of the year. You have to win that one, obviously, if you want to go to a bowl game in the future. They've got a little bit of turmoil on the other side with their head coach. Give us the latest on that one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation over across town at NC Central. They fired their head football coach, Henry Frazier, on August 22nd, just 9 days before their season opener at Duke. They got to go on the road playing an FBS team, the only FBS team they play all year. And now Dwayne Foster has taken over as the interim head coach and doesn't have much time to adjust.
He's got a lot of experience there, his whole 9 days of coaching thus far. But all jokes aside, they do have a very solid offensive line, which means that the Duke defense is going to have to really turn its game up this weekend. They've got a little bit of inexperience in the secondary. They've got a lot of experience up front. Break down this Duke defense for us.
So the biggest strength for Duke certainly this year is going to be its defense up front. It's going to be starting with the 4 guys, the big bodies clogging up the run. We're looking especially at defensive ends Kenny Ananiki and Justin Fox. Both should have strong seasons this year, and it's going to be important for them to be harassing quarterbacks all throughout the season, especially with some question marks still in the secondary.
Yeah, you look at that secondary, Zach, especially the last 5 games of 2012. They lost every one of them, and they gave up an average of 49 points a game. You're not going to win many games if you give up 49 points, and that's something they've addressed this offseason. They're going to actually feature 3 new starters in the secondary this year, and a lot of true freshmen that they're really excited about who are going to see some time in the secondary. Obviously, it starts with Ross Cockrell, who's an All-ACC preseason selection, but a lot of new faces. Who are you looking forward to seeing, Zach?
I'll tell you who I'm looking forward to see is Jeremy Cash, redshirt sophomore, transfer from Ohio State. Played in 5 games with the Buckeyes as a true freshman, even made a tackle against Michigan in the Big House. He'll be starting at strike safety. It's a position that defends the run, defends the pass. He's a big, athletic guy, and I think he's going to make some big-time plays back there.
So we talked about the defense, we talked about NC Central and a little bit of the coaching turmoil they have, but at the end of the day, we have to make a prediction. What is the score going to be this weekend?
Defense works out its kinks. Offense proves to be unstoppable against NC Central. I think it's going to be Duke 49-17.
It's an interesting game because you look at 2 years ago, 2011, first game of the year, Richmond came to Wallace Wade Stadium. They had their own bit of coaching turmoil during the summer. At the same time, they actually rallied around that and found a way to beat Duke. I don't see that repeating itself this week. Duke's going to beat NC Central. It's going to be 48-13.
Now, real quick before we go, are they going to a bowl game this year?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So perhaps another bowl-bound team for the Duke Blue Devils. Once again, for Zac Elder and Daniel Carp, I'm Danny Nolan. We'll see you guys next week.